This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag. It is Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. Elimination Chamber, 3 days away, and there's a lot to get to tonight. This is a mailbag that's split into two parts. Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan, they needed an extra day, and I totally get it. Life is crazy, so they will be coming to you in part two tomorrow night with their emails. I know you guys look to them as really the the most fun part of the mailbag takeover shows. I totally agree. You don't need to hear me all the time. They're such a fun energy, great, just a great pair, and they will be coming to you in part two tomorrow night in the email portion of the show. So I'll be doing the voicemails in part one. Again, tomorrow night they'll be coming to you. And again, one more time, I'd like to invite you, while it's the thick of WrestleMania season, Chamber right around the corner, no better time to become a patron of the show. For just $1, you can get into Patreon. You can get into the family of wrestling fans and get access to a Discord server that is open 24/7, and it's most fun during pay-per-view events. And we recently got a new patron, and I'm going to give a shout out to Steve M. Steve M., welcome to the WWE Podcast Wrestling family. I hope you enjoy what we have available to you. You guys can also go a little bit higher in tier and get video. I'll be doing a video a little bit later on Chamber, and an early preview and prediction show. Not long at all, probably 5 minutes or less, but just kind of my quick hit thoughts and predictions. That's going to be video only on Patreon as kind of an early release for the SmackDown tier and higher. Those members on Patreon have access to that. You can also use Apple Podcasts and go ad-free there, and there's a 1 week trial for free. So you can actually get everything for free, ad-free for a week. Okay. Let's get into, without any more plugging, let's get into the voicemails for this week. Here we go.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to, I guess, talk about this Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns feud, if there is going to be one, heading into their match at WrestleMania. Now, look, for me, I think they could have, had they peaked too early for what happened last week on Raw, where they had Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes talk about their promo back and forth about why Rhodes wants to be champion, for his father. He's still mentioning his father still, but still kind of stupid to me. He should be champion for himself, not for his father. But how long can they keep up with this storyline? How can you make this interesting to where it doesn't become, I just have a feeling they end up becoming repetitive and not all that interesting. And again, kind of very similar to what Bianca was, when Bianca was feuded with Becky and with Sasha, when she had her feud with those two women heading into WrestleMania. It wasn't really all that interesting because it either got it repetitive, not all that interesting as a story perspective. This is how I feel here. As a story perspective, as of right now anyway, it's going to get a little bit repetitive about him bringing up his father. And I just want to see a reaction between him and Roman Reigns face to face in the same building and in the same ring. Wonder when that's going to happen. But what do you think about that aspect of this feud so far, and what do you think they can improve to make people more interested in this match than him just winning the Rumble just because? But that's it. Thanks for my call. Bye.
Kyle, hope all is well, buddy. Good to hear from you. So, I mean, I've talked at length about this whole thing. It's no secret where I stand. Again, Cody Rhodes is a hell of a talent. No question about it. I just think he's better suited as a heel. But that said, I've said that a million times. Your question, though, how long can they keep up the method in which they're trying to promote and get fans behind Cody Rhodes? Which is daddy, family, right? Legacy, no pun intended. How long can they keep that up? As long as they can. Because you know what? Right now, for the majority of fans, I think it's working. I think the majority of fans are buying into this family, oh, I'm doing it for my daddy, that kind of thing. Oh, Dusty. I'm really like beyond tired of hearing about Dusty Rhodes. I was tired about it, tired of hearing about it the moment he came in. And I said the moment he came in, back from AEW, the Monday Night Raw after, that he was going to, when he claimed his mission statement of winning the championship, his dad couldn't. I said that's what they're going to go with the entire time. They're going to hang on the legacy of Dusty and try to make it relatable to the casual fan of losing a family member, losing a friend, doing it for someone else, that kind of thing. But I'm with you. He should do it for himself. Excuse me. He should do it for himself. Selfishly, he should. And it's just transparently, stomach-churningly squishy and too feel-good, goody two-shoes to do it for daddy. Like, give me a break. Again, I recognize I'm in the slim minority on this, which is fine with me. And I actually hope a lot of you disagree with me. I do want more of you to disagree with me. I like that. It's fun. It creates really good conversation. But how long can they keep this up? As long as they can, until the fans start to turn on it. And WWE this past Monday night, putting Sammy and Cody in the ring together, not taking the approach of trying to avoid one another and keeping them separate, which I think was a hell of a gamble, but it seemingly paid off in the moment, was successful. Sammy and Cody had a hell of a promo together, and you can make a case that seeing Sammy and Cody face one another for the main event, for the championship, without Roman, is plausible and, dare I say, favorable for most fans. I still, again, I don't want to give away the farm. I hinted it on my show last night. I'll save this for the patron members. I'll be doing a video on shortly for on the SmackDown tier and higher. I think that there's a strong possibility. Strong. I shouldn't say strong. There's a significant possibility that Roman doesn't go to WrestleMania as champion and faces someone else. That's possible. Not saying it's probable, but I'm going to lay that out in my video review later tonight on SmackDown or on my Patreon page. So, what do I think they can do to make this better? I mean, I don't know. Right now, if the goal is to get Cody over as a babyface and have him be the cheerleader for Sammy, which is what he was on Monday night, and see how the fans take to that. And if you're going to do any kind of testing in front of any audience, there's no better audience than in front of a large market audience, i.e. Chicago, Dallas, New York, and that's where they were, LA. That's your real litmus test. And they passed. The crowd didn't reject it. Now, that's not to say in 6 weeks, when WrestleMania rolls around, that things haven't gone south. But right now, I don't know if I'd recommend any changes. If their goal is to get Cody the main event with Roman retains at Chamber, we get the typical predictable outcome here. I honestly wouldn't change anything. I would continue to have him, just do what he's doing. Maybe come face to face with Roman. The promos with Roman should be fun. So there's that. But thanks, Kyle. This is a hell of a topic, and this Chamber event, I can't remember in the recent memory at least, meaning like last 5 years or so, the Elimination Chamber match or the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view event meaning more than it does this year, having more of a substantial impact on the WrestleMania card than it does this year. And maybe it's because we're in the moment and we're so clueless, we don't know what's going to happen. But I don't remember feeling like this in years past. There's so much on the line, so much to, as they say, unpack, kind of the popular phrase of the last few years. But there really is. And we're going to get a lot of answers, not all of them, but we're going to get a lot of them this Saturday night. And I can't wait. All right, thanks, Kyle. Let's keep it rolling.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Rocket T here from Houston, Texas. So first off, I think it's great that you're trying to get everybody's voice heard on the mailbags, whether it be emails or voicemails, regardless. So if you're having to cut down to the 2-minute mark or whatever, I'm game with that. But I want to touch real quick. With that being said, I'll try to shorten my emails. I don't leave voicemails all the time, but I'll try to shorten my emails as well. But real quick I just want to touch base on the email from Leon G, our new listener, and welcome, Leon. Talking about, maybe going to the PG-14 era again, PG-13. So, yeah, I get your argument about, parents might be turned off about, letting kids watch. So, I will a quick solution. Raw starts at 7 and ends at 10. I know as a parent, most kids are asleep by 8:30 or 9. So the solution for me would be the first hour or 2 hours of Raw or PG, and then you put a disclaimer at the commercial break saying that the last hour of Raw is going to be PG-14, so parental advisory. That way you get the kids, their dose of wrestling, and then you get the adults their dose of the edgier content. And that could actually play really good into some feuds that need that extra curse word, or they need blood. We need to see those things. So why not have the last hour of Raw or SmackDown or whatever part of it be rated PG-14? That way everybody gets what they want, everybody's happy. So just thoughts on that, and everybody have a good day. Have a great day.
All right, Rocky. Hope you're doing well, buddy. And the voicemail thing and the whole structure of the mailbag, depending on the volume, is really going to dictate how things move forward. Again, for the time being, it's still 3 minutes, and emails should be concise and that kind of thing. And so again, once things really start to pick up, and I have a feeling towards WrestleMania, even deeper into the season, it's gonna get really unmanageable in terms of volume. And I guess that's a good problem to have. I'm complaining about a good thing, people wanting to have a voice and be on the show. But it's just, I want to be able to get it out timely, and it's extremely time consuming to do. So, but again, I really like hearing everybody. It's not just me on the show. Okay. Your concept, your proposal of TV 14 and TV PG being split on the same show. I think it's a great concept on paper. I think it's a great idea. The problem is in execution. What do I mean by that? Well, you could have, say, the third hour of Raw, right? Like the first 2 hours from 8 to 10 p.m., TV PG. No problem. At 11 p.m., it switches to TV 14. And I don't hate the idea. It sounds cool. Like all of a sudden it's going to switch into adult mode, right? Like the kids get bluey and then it switches to like Game of Thrones. I like it, but here's one problem. You're still, by doing this, going to restrict families from going to the events in person. Because what are they going to do, right? Like say you're bringing your 5 to 12, 13-year-old kid and you don't want them exposed to the TV 14 content. And what are you going to do? Leave at the 10 p.m. hour when a lot of the big time stuff goes down in the final hour? And who dictates what's TV 14 and what's not? I mean, in terms of what programs are allowed to have that rating? Only the main event? I mean, it would clearly be the main events, because then that's how WWE has structured their programs. The main event always goes on in the final hour. Whatever the biggest storyline in WWE that's going on at the time is in the final hour. So you're always going to have to structure the main event in TV 14 parameters. And also, do you always have to have that? I mean, I know it allows you to do it, but you're kind of like half pregnant if you do this. Again, this is why the idea on paper sounds great. But in execution, it could be a little bit messy because of the people in person. What are you going to get, a discounted ticket when you go to the events with your family and say, well, we're leaving at 10 p.m. We get, a third of our ticket discounted because we have to leave by 10 p.m. And then, and all of a sudden, 10:01, they start cussing. I don't know how sponsors would also deal with this, because sponsors are a major part, if not the largest part, of WWE's revenue, not fans in attendance and paying tickets and merchandise, believe it or not, or even the network. It's revenue from sponsors and ads. That's how they make the most of their money. Of course, followed by Saudi Arabia. So again, I don't hate it, but I feel like in execution, it would be really difficult. So just some concerns. I'm all for TV 14, you know, like growing up in the Attitude Era, as many of us did, you know, you have some fond memories, but sometimes there was just being crass and being outlandish and sexual just because you could, when it didn't really lend itself to the storyline. You know, like sometimes it was just there for shock television rather than having it be a real tool to advance a story. It was just kind of, well, we can do it, so let's do it, without actually thinking about why we're doing it. So I think there could be some of that temptation if you do that as well, where people would just expect blood, guts, and all that. And again, the families, and when you alienate any kind of the family system of WWE, you might be shooting yourself in the foot in the future, because the fans that are watching now when they're really young, and if families who allow TV PG with their kids, which, you know, TV PG can be a little borderline sometimes, but you're creating that new generation of fans with TV PG. You know, like the parents that are allowing their kids to watch at a younger age and get hooked on the product now, WWE would love for them to be lifelong fans, because the older generation, the millennials, and the generation before me that are wrestling fans are kind of phasing out. Some of us aren't really fans anymore. Some have stuck around, but they want to keep creating that new fan. And what's happening? Millennials, like myself in our 30s, are having kids. And if they start watching wrestling, which I would imagine most of us would be cool with, you want them to grow up to be fans. So it's a great business model for WWE to keep TV PG. If you go TV 14, some families are going to say, oh, no, we're not doing this anymore. You know? So that's the problems that I have. But I don't hate your idea, Rocky. It's just from a monetary perspective. And don't forget, WWE is first and foremost a for-profit organization. I don't know if it would be the best idea for their bottom line. It may get their hardcore fan base excited, but it's not going to help long-term, and it could hurt long-term with turning off fans that may have otherwise existed because parents aren't going to allow their kids to watch. So, all right, cool. Rocky, hope you enjoyed Chamber. Let's get to our next one.
Hey, WWE podcast family. It's Alexis Dunham, a.k.a. Lexi, from upstate New York. You're a one-time co-host of the Raw Review. Just wanted to tell Matt that I haven't, forgot. I still listen every week, every day. Matt, you get me through my work day. Thank you so much. I'm still a very dedicated listener, and I will try to call in more. Still hoping to maybe have my own podcast someday, or still hoping that Matt will have me back on the show. That was the funnest thing I've ever done. Definitely need more practice, though. So, Matt, hit me up, and I hope you all stay juicy.
Hey, Lexi. No, you made me feel bad. I mean, you pulled at my heartstrings when you said one time, co-host. It's like, aw, like I feel like a jerk now. To be fair, I have over the years, I've had so many people come on the show as co-hosts, and I do it just for number one because people want to have a voice and a platform, and some people want to create their own podcast like yourself, and some people just want to come on just to see what it's like and all that kind of thing. And some are better than others, no doubt about it. And not everybody has a voice for podcasting. I sucked at first. Let me tell you, if anybody ever found my first few podcasts, and it's not even under the WWE podcast name, I actually had another name of a podcast that I started back in 2014. So 9 years ago, I started podcasting. Maybe someday I'll post the very first episode of that show as, like, honestly embarrassed. You will have secondhand embarrassment. I mean, listening to it, you will have secondhand embarrassment without a doubt. So you'll be sitting there blushing, cringing at what you hear. I mean, I remember listening to it like last year sometime, and I'm like, I couldn't even get through 5 minutes. So anyway, it just comes with practice. I actually recall that we had a great conversation. I didn't remember saying, oh man, she needs some practice. I never thought that at all. And I'm glad that I could get you through your workday though. I think that that's a cool thing. You never know. You have no clue when you do this, none, who the heck you're reaching. You have no idea who's listening. All I know, I mean, in the back end of things, in the back office, so to speak, you can see the state, even the city. You can see cities, your top cities for downloads and all that kind of thing, and male, female, the age range of people that listen, that kind of thing. But you don't know, obviously, specific people, and you couldn't ever know that. So, I may get a few thousand downloads a day, and you're just like, I don't know who I'm reaching. Like, you really don't know. So, I've heard some people say that I get through their day, and that it's just like kind of weird to me, because I listen to podcasts that get through my day, and it's just, I still remember like, oh yeah, I'm a podcaster. It is a cool gig. It's, if anybody ever wants, to chat about actual podcasting and need advice, Lexi, if you do, it is a spider web of advice. And I don't want to get into rabbit holes and into the weeds, but there's a lot more than people think of just, you put a mic in front of you and just talk. Yeah. That's the fun. Like right now is the fun part, right? This is the easy part, the fun part where I'm sitting in front of my computer, right? It's 8:45 at night as I speak. And like, this is the part that I enjoy, because this is the part that gets me to this microphone, getting to speak to you, getting to talk about my passion. That is also your passion. Wrestling. And that's the fun part that gets people started and motivated and keep doing it. But the promotion, you're going to have to spend a little money at some point to get a quality mic and get a host to publish your podcasts and come up with a logo. More than likely, you're going to have to pay someone to create a logo, and then register with Apple Podcasts and get it on Spotify and get it on, the people have no idea. And I'm not tooting my own horn. Thousands of people have done this before me. But as you do it, you're like, whoa, there's way more to this than I thought. I thought it was just talking in front of a mic and hitting publish. Yeah, no. So, but anyway, all that being said, Lexi, enjoy your workday, whatever you're doing in upstate New York. I forget exactly where you are in upstate. I think you're very close to me, if I recall. Because when you say upstate to some people who live in the city, they're like, oh, Westchester. You live up in White Plains, Poughkeepsie. It's like, no, right? Like, to people in New York City, anything above Manhattan is upstate. It's crazy. But I think I'm not going to say the town, but I think you're pretty close to me. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having you back on. It was a fun time. I think we should do that. All right, let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey Matt, it's Brad. So I was listening to your podcast just now with Anthony. And I gotta say, you guys have incredible chemistry. Like, I love the shows that you do by yourself, but the ones with Anthony are, to me, honestly, my favorite thing to listen to of any podcast in my entire library, and there's a lot of them. And that says a lot. I think that you guys just are so good together, and I hope you guys find time to do even more things together. I really liked this latest long-form one. I think it was about 58, 59 minutes as opposed to the normal, 35 minutes. It was just really good with you guys brainstorming about the different possibilities with Cody, Sammy, Roman, the Bloodline. I totally agree with you guys on, splitting up the championships being the answer. And they've had so many great opportunities to do it, whether it was with the cash-in of Austin Theory, whether it was with, the Drew McIntyre situation, whether it's potentially now, or even, I think the best opportunity they had to split the belts, honestly, was when Roman was facing Riddle, and there was that stipulation that when he signed the contract, if he lost, he could never again challenge for the undisputed championship. Well, let me challenge for just one then. I thought that was the best way to go, and I'm really hoping at Elimination Chamber that we do see some sort of split, but I think that the other more realistic option could be Sammy winning and getting screwed out of the belt by Jey Uso, who, by the way, from what I understand, they've been cleared, the Usos, to be in Canada, and I think they're going to be there. So imagine Roman getting screwed out of the championship by Jey Uso, and the WrestleMania main event becomes a three-way with Cody, Roman, and Sammy. I kind of think that's the best way to go about it, that Roman complains, I was screwed, I was blindsided, I demand into this match, blah, blah, blah. In a certain way, I don't want Roman's title reign to end, but I do think that would be a cool way of intertwining everything, and I think it kind of makes sense seeing the Cody Rhodes promo with Sami Zayn that we saw on Monday, like, hey, I want to see you at WrestleMania. So who knows? But I just like that idea a lot, of Jay screwing Roman. You have crazy stuff going on with the bloodline, intertwined with the Sami, intertwined with Cody. You mix it all together, and I think they're starting to do a good job of blending that feud all together. And I want to know your thoughts. But again, man, you and Anthony are amazing together. You're great on your own, of course. Thanks for the time, and have a good night or a good day, whatever it is for you.
Brad, well, thank you so much for the the compliments with Anthony and I. We've been doing podcasting together for probably like 3-4 years, and like right off the bat, we hit it off. And he's one of the OGs of the podcast, and I'd love to get Ashley back on more too. She's one of the OGs, and she's got her own podcast, by the way. Go check out the Kick Ash podcast. If it's called Kick Ash, not Kick Ass. So kind of a play on words, very clever. So check out Ashley's podcast. She's just so talented as well. And it's also great having a female voice in wrestling because, look, most of us are dudes that watch wrestling. I mean, and when I look at my stats, if you're curious, it's like 88% of the listeners that listen to this show are between the ages of 18 and 40 and are male. So like, it's always a cool deal when you have a female come on. It's fun. So yeah, Ashley, I'd love to come back on much more often, but also, yeah, Anthony, he's great. No doubt about it. When, we had chemistry right off the bat, and it's only got better as the years have gone on. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I'm looking into to have us do more shows together. I think, he gets it. Him and I have a very similar outlook on wrestling. We don't always agree. We agree a lot. I mean, there's no doubt about it. If you're looking for great debate, it's not us, right? Like, but we don't glad hand each other and just say, yeah, you're just so great at everything. Your ideas are so perfect. No, like we don't do that. We don't kiss each other's asses. We just have a very similar outlook on wrestling and very similar likes and dislikes in wrestling. And I know that some people don't like that, and I like debate, and no doubt, I agree. There's an interest level there for that, but Anthony and I just have a chemistry. It's just the way it is, and it's something that I can toss his way. He's as busy as I am, though. He's got a lot going on, work, life. Being a engaged man, right? So he's got a lot on his plate. I've got a lot on mine, but I will definitely take that under advisement, as they say. Because, if you and others enjoy us that much, then yeah, there could be a need out there that you're identifying, Brad. But let's talk about the bloodline a little bit. And the bloodline. Okay. We are going to get in 72 hours, we're going to get all the answers that we want, at least hopefully, right? Like if they leave us with more questions than answers, I mean, it's not the time to do it. There's a lot of time to do that. Right? Like most of the time, more questions than answers is good. But at this point, we're ready for answers. We're ready to see what the card at WrestleMania is going to be. Now, your theory, as Anthony and I brought up as one of the possible theories, of Jay winning, or rather screwing over Roman, causing Sami to win, is plausible as hell. It is also equally as plausible, though, that Jay comes in, pretends that he's going to be aligning with Sami, and then turns on Sami only to show that blood is thicker than water, and his true allegiance does, side with Roman. That's very possible too. I actually think that's a little more likely as well. And both of these options are intriguing, but only one of them, I think, is a more successful option, and one that they should explore while the iron's hot, and that is Jey Uso turning on Roman, where the bloodline does completely disintegrate, and the only ones left are Solo and Jimmy, and Jimmy's conflicted now that his brother's turned, and what does he do? That is certainly interesting, and I think the crowd is behind Jey. Jey is, my God, main event Jey Uso is a real thing. That's not just a tagline. He is truly main event Jey Uso if he wanted to be. And I think that's a better way to catapult his career than having him just go back to he's still part of the bloodline, damn it. This is the time when the tension is as high as it can get. It's at a boiling point now. It's not going to get as hot as it is right now. They can't manufacture this again. It's going to be almost impossible to do. Strike while the iron's hot. Make this have Jay screw Roman, And then maybe have Jay face Roman and also have Cody and Sammy in there. Now that kind of muddies the water if it's a fatal 4-way, right? But maybe Jay, I mean, that's the thing. If Jay's not in the title match at WrestleMania, where does he go? If he screws Roman, I mean, that would lead to a WrestleMania match with Roman. So if he doesn't, then what happens? It's just like there's a domino effect here. The cleanest thing is the most boring answer, though. The cleanest and most predictable is the easiest to do, but it's also the most predictable and boring, which is Jay comes in, screws Sammy. It's Kevin comes in, tries to help Sammy. It's still unsuccessful. Roman hits a spear. Wham, bam. 1, 2, 3. Sammy looks up at the lights. Roman's standing there with the 2 titles. He still retains. Jay shows his true colors, and that leads to Kevin and Sammy versus the Usos for the tag titles at Mania. Even if they dethrone them, it won't carry the same weight, that kind of thing. That is the most predictable, and I still believe that actually has the most likely, but not a lock by any means. That, I think, is the most likely scenario. But I think with the segment on Raw, that really threw me for a loop in a good way. Why would they tease Sami Zayn in the main event of WrestleMania if they're not going to deliver on it? That's not the WWE way. That's not a good way to build a goodwill with fans, trust with fans. You can't do that and then pull back and put them in a tag team match. You know, in any other scenario, in any other year, having Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens face a tag team that has held the tag team championships for over 500 days and win and take down one of the most successful groups of all time would be, you think, a massive success at WrestleMania. You're like, oh my God, sign me up. But this is a different year. This is a special year for Sammy. And they wouldn't tease Sammy in the main event going face to face with Cody if they didn't have any actual intention of somehow getting Sammy into the main event. Now, if it is a triple threat with Sammy and Cody and Roman, therein lies, there, I said it right, the problem for keeping Cody Rhodes babyface. Because sure, in their promo together right now, while they weren't adversaries, they were kind of just, patting themselves on the back. Cody was a cheerleader for Sammy, kind of in a friendly way. There wasn't any boos for Cody or boos for Sammy. It was just kind of like, we like you both. But when fans are going to be forced to choose, if there's a triple threat, they will turn on Cody in a second, I believe. Because the more organic and deeper connection lies with Sammy with the fans. And they will turn on Cody, and rightfully so. So if that's their plan and they're willing to take that risk, then have at it. If they're willing to risk Cody Rhodes as a babyface, and they're saying, we're just going to roll the dice and see where things land, then go for it, if they really don't care. But if they don't want to risk that, and they feel Cody could be the massive babyface, and they don't want to put themselves in that scenario, then you may not want to do that. It's a fascinating scenario, and Jey Uso he's going to be the wild card. I think I agree, is going to be the one to decide the outcome of this match with Sammy. He's going to, one way or the other, be the reason Sammy wins or loses. So we'll see. I also have another wild card that I keep teasing. I alluded to it last night, but for those that haven't heard, my wild theory of a third party, I'll be doing that on video for those on the SmackDown tier and higher on Patreon. Okay. So Brad, thank you so much for the compliments. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon, I hope. Let's get to our next one.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Michael Gross, the gardener, coming to you live on a nice, warm, sunny day in Louisville, Kentucky. I just wanted to give my condolences to Jerry Jarrett and the family of Jeff Jarrett and all of his relatives. People don't realize if it wasn't for Jerry Jarrett that you wouldn't have many of the WWE/WWF superstars of yesterday. A lot of your 80s people, everybody came through Memphis back in the day, and he was the king before the king was the king. He made wrestling what it was, and it's just really sad that he's passed on, but unfortunately, age gets to all of us. With that being said, on a lighter note, I just want to say happy birthday to a few people this week. An employee of mine, her name is Brianna Emerson. She is great. She's a rock star, just a stud, and she's an amazing human being. And my niece, who turned 26 this week, Scarlett, I love you. And another friend, I think his name's Matt. Oh, yeah, it's you, Matt. Happy birthday, my friend. Aside from that, I also want to say that there are more parallels between Sami Zayn and Mankind than anybody ever thought, because Mankind was the one, when he was the GM as Mick Foley, who wanted to trade him. I honestly see a little bit more, but I'm going to save that for a private conversation with Matt. Everybody, have a great day. Miss you all. Rocky T, thank you for reaching out to me. We're going to make some magic. All right? Goodbye.
All right, Mr. Gardner, Michael Gross. Great to hear your voice, buddy. We got to do a show again soon. I keep saying that with so many people that I'm hearing on the mailbag. It's kind of like the mailbag's always a reminder of like, man, I need to do a show with this person, this person, this person. You guys are making me feel bad. But so first of all, thank you for the happy birthday. Yeah, I good old ripe age of 38. Turned 38 on the 13th, and I don't know. I will say, I don't feel 38, and in my mind, I froze at 25. I really don't think at this point my mind is going to age in sync with my body. Like it's done. It's over. And especially as a guy, we kind of just stop in our 20s, in our minds anyway. We just stop progressing. Our bodies may age, and we may be able to fake it better because that comes with experience. But in terms of reality and where our minds really are at, it's 25. I mean, sorry, ladies. I mean, that's just what it is. So, yeah, some of us younger. I mean, I may be overshooting how old our minds are. So, I mean, that's just a reality. But thank you again for the happy birthday. Condolences to Jerry Jarrett and his family. I agree. That feels like, we're early into 2023 and already there's a lot of crap going on in the world, right? I mean, sure, in wrestling, but also like, stuff flying over our skies and Chinese spy balloons and alien invasions and all this. It's just, I don't know. We're my God, we're only like 6 weeks into the new year and already it's wild. So yeah, thank you. And yes, happy birthday to those that you mentioned in your voicemail. It's always a fun day to think back and go, wow, this many years ago, I was just coming out of my mother and crying, right? Like, and then you have your own kids and you're like, wow, right? They're going to remember this day forever. So happy birthday to everybody. Really, happy birthday to anybody that's celebrating this month. How about that? I'm just doing to paint everybody with the same brush. If you're celebrating in February, happy birthday. That way I can't miss you. Alrighty, let's get to the next voicemail.
Hi. This is Randy from LA again. Just in case you don't remember me, I'm the guy that doesn't like Bianca Belair. She's definitely not the EST. But anyways, real quick, want to say something to Alex, the French guy. You called out that Dennis McGinley last time or in last week's mailbag. And you said something to the effect of, if you want to make history, grab what's in between your legs. And then you proceeded to talk about heading to WrestleMania. Real quick, WrestleMania is in my city. It's here in LA. And the last thing we want is for you to come here and grab what's in between your legs, Alex, the French guy. In fact, the last time someone did that here in LA, Pee Wee Herman got arrested. But anyways, Alex, the French guy, sit your butt down in your Euro home and do not get on the plane. We don't want you coming here grabbing what's in between your legs. But anyways, weird thing just really stood out last week, and I just thought, man, I need to say something because this guy, anyways, that's Alex, the French guy. But now, Matt, I heard you this week talking about the future of the women's division. And I have a question. Let's pull out your crystal ball. Dust that thing off, pull it out. And would you look ahead to 3 years from now? Excluding the main event players today, who can you envision as main event players 3 years from now in the men and women's division? And obviously we're going to exclude, Roman Reigns and people like that, people who are already in the main event scene. But for the men, I was thinking Gunther, LA Knight, Solo, Montez Ford, Austin Theory, Jay White, maybe Logan Paul. A lot of those guys are obvious candidates to make that jump into the main event scene. And for the women, Rhea, Becky, Bianca will probably still be headliners. But it's hard to envision who the future main eventers are in the women's division. From NXT, the only ones I could think of were Roxanne Perez, Zoe Stark, and Cora Jade. They look like possible stars. And from the main event roster, with a lot of work, possibly maybe like a Tegan Knox, Io Sky, and Mia Yim. But other than that, I can't think of any women who I see as future main event stars. But anyways, Matt, if you could maybe give your top 3, top 5 from each division for what your crystal ball is showing 3 years from now. Anyways, thank you, man. Have a good week.
All right, Randy. So you heard it here, Alex, the French guy. You are banned from going to L.A. So I didn't do it. Talk to Randy. Okay. Good question. That's a hell of a question. As you were talking, I was going through the entire roster, right? Because I obviously don't know everyone off the top of my head. I like your pick of Gunther. I think he is absolutely almost a lock, barring something bizarre happening injury-wise, contract-wise, whatever. Excuse me. I think Gunther is absolutely in the next 3 years a main eventer and world champion within 3 years. Maybe sooner, depending on how quickly this Roman Reigns thing ends. And that's the other thing that I didn't mention, by the way, is the 1,000-day thing. They keep mentioning 900. How do they not want to get to 1,000? That I think also plays into the fact that they probably don't want to end his streak. But Gunther is absolutely in the conversation for the men. I'm looking at the other man. Austin Theory, I think, is a solid pick. There's 2 for me. I'm kind of in lockstep with you. Let's see. Again, these are guys that are not currently in the main event, right? Like, obviously, I'm not going to choose Roman. I'm not going to choose Seth. Those are kind of obvious picks if they're still here in a few years. Let's see here. You put me on the spot. LA Knight, I do like that pick as well. Now, that's who I want, but does that mean that he's going to continue to rise? Time is going to tell. He's only been here a short time. In the short time, I think he's done an excellent job. I love everything about LA Knight. Everything. Every time he's on my screen, it's a highlight for me. Logan Paul, I hope not. Okay. I mean, the thing is, he kind of just comes in when he wants. They're making him an attraction, even though he can wrestle his ass off, and he's a heel. I don't quite understand Logan Paul's schedule. I don't quite get it. So I'm going to disagree on the Logan Paul thing. I think Jey Uso, while he's not in the main event per se, if he breaks out into a singles career, could absolutely be in the main event consistently. Let's see here. Sami Zayn is a tough one. He's not, he's only recently become a main eventer. Only just recently. So if we're going to look ahead 3 years, I would actually say no. I don't think in 3 years Sami Zayn will be a consistent main eventer. And I'm not trying to pour cold water or anything. The way WWE operates, although it's under Triple H, I don't know. I'm gonna leave Sami Zayn out of the conversation because that's a deep conversation to be had. And yeah, he does kind of remind me of Mick Foley, as the gardener said in the previous voicemail. He has mannerisms and facials that are very Foley-esque. I noticed that in the promo with Cody this past week. His face is very Foley-ish. But let's see who else. Solo, perhaps. Solo Sikoa could be, yes. Let's see who else. I don't know. I mean, that kind of... Montez Ford is a possibility. Montez Ford is absolutely a possibility. Same with Matt Riddle, if he gets his crap together. As far as the women go, let's take a look. I think Raquel Rodriguez is going to be a main eventer and a consistent main eventer in the next 3 years. Io Sky, I don't know about that one. That one I'm on the fence about. I'm going to lean towards no on Io Sky. Let's see who else. I'm trying to ignore those who are already in the main event. So I'm taking out Rhea. I'm taking out Becky. I'm taking out, those individuals. But Raquel Rodriguez, I think Piper Niven could be. She's got a great look because she's so much different looking than the other women, which I think is a positive. So Piper Niven could be, but maybe she won't perform at the level that they want her to. Therefore, she may not get there and stay there. Let's see. Maxine Dupree. I'm joking. Sonya Deville. I think she's an interesting one. I think Sonya Deville in the next 3 years could absolutely be in the main event scene consistently. And I'll pick another one. One last one here. This one, I'm going to say... Oh, boy. I'm going to say Shayna Baszler. Only because I'm not super familiar with all the other NXT talent, and I'm probably missing a lot of NXT talent, like Tatum Paxley and Valentina Feroz and, Stevie Turner, Wendy Chu. Zoe Stark, all of them, I'm not super familiar with their work, and I'm sure one of them or two of them will break out and be big stars. And I actually would look for them, the NXT women and men, to show themselves on Raw, the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. It won't be a massive call-up, but there's always a couple debuts and call-ups right after WrestleMania because it's kind of like resetting everything. So look for that. But that's a hell of a question. Thank you, Randy. All right. One last voicemail, guys. I think you know who this is. We're going to end this voicemail portion of the mailbag on high energy. So that, I think, gave you a clue as to who this is about to be. Let's get to it.
Hello, WWE Podcast World. This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag Show. Record to you live on a Wednesday morning. And we are just a few days away from the Elimination Chamber. And before we get to the Veer Mahan Report, the Veer Mahan Report has been brought to you by one of the best Discord chats that you could join right now. For just $1 a month, you could join us this coming Saturday to catch the Elimination Chamber in Montreal, Canada. Of course, all of the patrons will be live, including myself, down in the Discord chat. So if you have not been a part of the Discord chat, this is your opportunity as we are on the road to WrestleMania. Get in that Discord chat. Get on Patreon for just $1 a month. So now, let's get to the Veer Mahan Report. Now, the Veer Mahan Report took place last night on NXT, and we did get an appearance of the Indishare. We did get an appearance of my guy, Veer Mahan Sangha, and the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal. And what we saw last night was just a preview, my friends, a preview of what could be the future of NXT, with the modern day Maharaja becoming the NXT champion. He came into the ring with the initiate with my guy Veer Mahan and Sangha. He came and interrupted Braun Breaker, the champion. He interrupted Braun Breaker, talking about how the crowd does not love Braun Breaker anymore. And let me just say this bluntly, it is time for Braun Breaker to get to the main roster. So he said that the crowd doesn't love you anymore, and he wants a challenge. And he seeks out a challenge that next week, that the modern day Maharaja wants to go one-on-one with Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship. Now, I don't know what this means for the future of NXT, because they did tease a Carmelo Hayes versus a Braun Breaker at Stand and Deliver. So I don't know what this match may be or what it may entail, but I know that the Indishare will be here next week as they cheer on my guy, Veer Mahan and Sangha, as they cheer on the modern day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, as he goes one-on-one with the NXT champion, Braun Breaker. So with that being said, hope you all have a blessed week. Stay UC, my friends. This is your boy, DJ Kuzmo, and peace.
Alrighty, DJ. Good way to end the show here. High note as you listen to my monotone voice and then switch to DJ. It's a good change, I gotta say. Sometimes I put myself to sleep. I've fallen asleep on the mic. I think I've told you guys that. Literally, like, I mean, just bam, right on the keyboard, right on the mic. And then I had to listen back and say, I was actually just like mumbling for 10 minutes. I had no idea what I said. That didn't happen in this case, but my point is, it's good to have high energy on this show and not just my kind of same tone voice all the time, right? Thank you for the update. I was not aware that Jinder Mahal is going to be challenging Braun Breaker. Based on loosely what I know, what's going on, it doesn't seem like there's a likelihood of Jinder Mahal winning the NXT Championship from Braun Breaker. Doesn't mean he can't. But the good part about this is, again, if you're an Indishare fan, if you want to see Veer Mahan and Sangha and Veer Mahan, or rather Jinder Mahal, that is, come up to main roster, and you want to have them get prime time on television, this is a good sign. Even if in the likelihood that Jinder Mahal loses, it gives the entire group airtime. It puts their eyeballs in front of fans. And I think, based on what I've heard and read and heard from you, DJ, there's a chance that maybe after WrestleMania is over, they could be one of the groups called up in a tag team division or just as a faction. Triple H, loves him some factions. My God, how many factions have been created since Vince McMahon left? I mean, he went faction crazy. I mean, to the point where there were no factions, that he went from 0 to 100. I think he needs to kind of step it back a bit. But if he loves himself some factions and more tag teams, certainly the End of Sheer with Jinder Mahal and Sangha and Veer Mahan could make their debut after WrestleMania on Raw, the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, or shortly thereafter that. I'm not saying it's likely. I kind of get that feeling based on the little bit that I do know, okay? I mean, it's not nearly what some of you guys that watch NXT regularly know, but what I can gather, that's, I think, it's at least possible. So, but it's good to hear that the End of Sheer is getting that kind of exposure, even if it's in a singles competition role. It's for the top championship, and Jinder Mahal is in a top championship match, and we have Veer Mahan and Sangha, who are going to be ringside, visible on camera, cheering him on. That's a positive. Absolutely. So thank you, DJ. Thanks to all the callers. Thank you, everybody, for contributing. I hope I'm getting some of you through work. Others of you, maybe I'm putting you to sleep like Bob Ross. Who knows? But that said, tomorrow, don't forget, part 2 is coming tomorrow. Okay? Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan are coming to you tomorrow with the emails. And that means you have an extra day to get emails. Okay, by the way, I'm not trying to ask you to flood me with emails, but if you didn't get your email in, you have an extra day to do so. And I'll forward it on to them, and they'll answer it tomorrow night. So this time tomorrow night, I'll be publishing part 2 with the main event, because I know that you guys really listen for them, for the mailbag, not me. Okay, I know that. And I'd be doing the same thing. If it's the regular host versus the couple that's, got great chemistry and you don't hear a whole lot from them, I'd be going with them, right? Like, I'd be like, all right, let's just get through this guy so we can get to the part 2. But that said, all right, that is going to do it for me right now. I'll be back on, my God, probably Friday-ish. Probably Friday during the day. I'll have some time. I'll be doing a full preview and prediction show, maybe midday Friday, for the Elimination Chamber event. And for those of you on Patreon, always some extra stuff coming. So thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, take care. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.